The Demon King's army thought they were the main characters ready to delete the world, but they just got absolutely speedrun by a single human and his elite squad, the Hawkeye. It wasn't even a battle, it was a server wipe. Now the king is backed into a corner, lungs burning and sweating enough to fill a pool. He stares up in disbelief, trying to process how his health bar hit 0 so fast. He demands to know the gamer tag of the guy who just humbled him. The leader steps out of the mist looking like pure nightmare fuel. He is rocking a skull face with one glowing eye, decked out in black and gold drip that screams final boss energy. He introduces himself as the Corpse King of Helheim and tells everyone to go home because the war is officially over. His elites do not waste a single frame. They hear the name, catch the vibe, and Helheim moves out immediately. That is some absolute unit behavior right there. And just like that, the Corpse King pulled the ultimate Irish exit. He didn't just leave, he deleted his own existence from the server. No loot drops, no final monologue. The chaotic battlefield glitch faded into a quiet, sunny room. The silence isn't peaceful, it is heavy. Hizaki Shio jolts awake, cold sweat soaking his collar. The nightmares are playing on an infinite loop in his head. See, he wasn't always a warlord. He was just a standard middle schooler, until the universe decided to yeet his entire class into a literal meat grinder. It wasn't an adventure, it was a spawn camp disaster. One by one, his classmates got sent to the lobby. No respawns, no continues. He stood alone in a field of game over screens, the last man standing in a server of ghosts. So he embraced the edge. He slapped on a skull mask, renamed himself the Corpse King, and woke up and chose violence. He built the secret society of Helheim from scratch, speedran the Demon King's castle, and soloed the final boss. But the quest reward wasn't gold or legendary gear. It was a forced server transfer back to reality, and now he is taking critical damage from the cringe. He realizes calling himself the Corpse King of Helheim sounds like bad fanfiction. He wants to delete his own existence along with his search history. He sits in the clinic trying to explain the lag. 5 years of hell in the other world was only 1 month here. Talk about some serious ping issues. The memories hit him harder than an Isekai truck. The girl he loved, the rival he hated, all deleted. He plants his palms on his face and tries to smack the depression right out of his system. He checks the clock. It is graduation day. He has to carry the guilt, put on a brave face, and survive the scariest raid boss of all. High school. He tries to tactical retreat through the door, but the physics engine breaks. He steps straight into a loading screen, back to the white void where this whole nightmare began. And look who is camping the spawn point. The server admin herself, rocking a literal DOD t-shirt. Because subtlety is for people with lower stats. She hits him with his old gamer tag, the Corpse King. He shuts that down instantly. He reminds her he already beat the game, cleared the Demon King, and watched the credits roll. She ignores his complaints and starts munching on snacks while dropping a bombshell. Helheim, the secret society he created, is currently griefing her entire world. Since he logged off, his followers went rogue. She got tired of waiting for a patch update, so she dragged him back to fix his mess personally. She demands he take responsibility for his chaotic children, then immediately starts the transfer countdown. No map, random spawn location. Good luck having fun. He panics and asks about his max level gear. God just laughs and hits him with the patch notes. Ice magic? Deleted. Unique skills? Gone. It is a hard reset to level 1. He realizes there is no arguing with the devs. He sighs, accepts the penalty for abandoning his server, and prepares to clean up the trash. He asks about the seals holding his crew back. Spoiler alert, they are gone. But God insists his squad is still loyal, even without the leash. He smirks, realizing the absurdity of it all. As the ritual circle flares up, she begins the chant, hyping him up as the supreme ruler of the grave. Time to leave the tutorial zone. She grants him one little pity gift for saving the world last time. The Corpse King is back online. Over at the Secret Society HQ, the vibes are absolutely rancid. The place is a ghost town. Nilf grips the stone railing, staring into the void and wondering if he should just cancel his subscription to life. The throne sits empty. It has been way too long since the Corpse King went out for milk and never came back. The separation anxiety is hitting critical levels, and honestly, it is pathetic. Nilf replays the old memories just to cope. He thinks back to when the squad was falling apart without a leader, desperate for a crumb of direction. The boss stepped up. He pointed that bony finger and dropped the ultimate praise. He named Nilf the Undiluted, the Brain, the Right Hand. That validation is the only thing keeping the lights on upstairs. Snap back to reality. The memory fades and Nilf starts spiraling. Tears are streaming as he murmurs the name. He is down bad, folks. Suddenly, bang. A massive impact shakes the room. Nilf jumps, trying to switch from crying mess to tough guy in 0.5 seconds. Talk about a mood swing. Someone is hammering on the door. Panic sets in. He thinks, how did they find us? This base is top secret. Only the inner circle has the coordinates. If that is an enemy, they are getting sent to the lobby. They do not even get time to equip a weapon. The door explodes inward. Garm launches a tactical hug strike at Mach 5, tackling Nilf into the wall. She hit him with the force of a freight train. Nilf is confused, but Garm is hyperventilating with tears in her eyes. She did not break in for no reason. Her nose picked up the one scent that matters. The Corpse King is back on the server. Garm wasn't bluffing. Deep in the forest, the server admin finally logged back in. Hizaki wakes up, flexes his hand, and summons the holy grail of Isekai protagonists, the blue system window. He checks his build. Ice Magic level 1, absolute trash tier. But then he scrolls down to the passive, Blessing of Death. It is a twisted kill streak bonus. Humans, demons, it doesn't matter. Every body he drops adds a permanent multiplier to his stats. Infinite scaling. He calls it the root of all evil, and he is absolutely right. Because here is the kicker. The XP boost hits hardest when his friends get deleted. He remembers the first time it triggered. Absorbing a deleted classmate's soul nearly fried his brain with their trauma. He admits the grim reality. His entire party got sent to the lobby, and that tragedy turned him into a god strong enough to solo the Demon King. Victory purchased with sacrifices. But this is New Game Plus, and he is refusing to play the Necromancer build. He swears he won't let that passive trigger ever again. He enchants his blade with Glacius, locking in the ice build. Sword drawn and magic primed, he heads out to find his crew before the system demands another sacrifice. Back at the capital, the vibe check is failing miserably. Princess Asha gets the intel that the entire forest just turned into a giant popsicle. Her soldiers are sweating bullets, convinced a high-ranking demon is responsible for this sudden ice age. Asha examines the evidence, and yeah, it is definitely magic. Her guards beg her to retreat, but she flexes her royal pedigree. She is the descendant of the heroes who deleted the Demon King, so she is not exactly afraid of a little frost. She looks out over the frozen wasteland, scanning the horizon. No survivors, no movement, just absolute zero devastation as far as the eye can see. Deep in the woods, she senses a massive power spike, and this is not a drill. Then, she hears it. A groan of pain echoing from the darkness. Her combat instincts take over instantly. She plants her feet and grips her sword hilt, knuckles turning white from the tension. Whatever is out there is about to catch a blade to the face. She squares up for a boss fight, expecting a high-level demon to lunge from the bushes. But the threat isn't a monster. It is just some random guy standing there, looking completely lost in the sauce. Gravity betrays him immediately, and he folds like a cheap lawn chair. Asha dives in for the save, eyes scanning the perimeter for threats while she demands a sitrep. He tries to speak, summoning every last pixel of stamina for a crucial message. He whispers that his hunger bar is empty. 5 minutes later, my man is absolutely inhaling that bread like he has never seen carbs before. Tears of joy are streaming down his face. He went from the game over screen to a food critic in 3 seconds flat. Asha tells him to pace himself before he chokes, which would be a stupid way to get sent to the lobby. He thanks her for the assist, admitting the forest turned into a nightmare zone way too fast. But then he spots the emblem on her armor. He knows that crest. Asha catches him staring and clears her throat, realizing she hasn't dropped her credentials yet. She hits the magical girl pose, sparkles appearing out of thin air. She announces she is Asha El Griffel, the 5th princess. He looks at her like she has 2 heads. 5th princess? Since when? Bro is absolutely baffled. She ignores the shade and flexes her lineage. She claims she is a descendant of the squad that deleted the Demon King 180 years ago. That number freezes him. He throws up a hand to stop the lore dump. Inside his head, the math is not mathing. The Demon King lost? Centuries ago? He is spiraling. Asha assumes his brain is cooked and asks for his name. Before he can even drop his gamertag, Cold Steel kisses his neck. Someone really doesn't want him talking. The vibe shifts instantly. A full squad surrounds them, weapons drawn, locking down the perimeter like a SWAT team. They drop the ultimatum on the princess. Freeze, or the hostage gets deleted. They have a blade pressed right against Shio's throat, ready to cancel his subscription to life. Asha connects the dots. The frozen forest wasn't a weather anomaly, it was a trap. They turned the woods into a freezer just to reel in a prize catch. Then the boss steps out. Lucas, from the secret society Helheim. He claims he is from the intellectual division, which is apparently code for creepy guy with a giant scythe. Most people would panic hearing the name Helheim, but Shio just smirks. He knows exactly who they are, and he is about to make his problem their problem. Lucas stares down at his prize and realizes he just hit the jackpot. He clocks Asha El Griffel on the floor and breaks down the meta. Distract the kingdom, bait the trap, and secure the bag. He glances at the guy next to her and dismisses him as a wild boar. Just some bonus XP for the grind. He tries to play the gentleman card and promises she will be safe, but then he drops the mask. He demands she keep him company when he gets lonely. Major creep alert. Asha is not having it. She explodes and screams that he is scum and needs to be deleted from the server immediately. Lucas sighs because he is bored of the yelling. He gives the signal. Wham! A fist slams into the hostage's face, snapping his head back with a sickening crunch. The beatdown continues on the floor. A thug winds up and punts the guy like a football, launching him sideways. Asha panics. She screams for them to stop and pleads that he is innocent. Lucas grins. That is the point. He calls out her martial arts skills and her annoying sense of justice. He watches the boots stomp down on the victim. He tells her this is the only way to break a hero. Use the innocent as bait. Shio decides to commit to the bit. He lifts his head from the dirt, putting on his best confused innocent civilian face, and asks who these budget cosplayers are. Inside his mind, he is already dissecting their stance and realizing they are total amateurs. The Mohawk guy is completely thrown off by the lack of fear. Shio shakes his head, insisting he is clueless, but then he decides to poke the bear. He asks if they are from intelligence, specifically if one of them is named Lucas. That name acts like a summon spell for the villain's ego. He stomps forward, screaming that in this day and age, everyone should know the name Helheim. He gestures to the frozen wasteland, taking full credit for the climate change like he personally left the fridge open. He puffs his chest out and claims he is the high-ranking executive, Lucas of Intelligence. The sheer audacity is actually impressive. Ashla snaps. She screams for the madness to stop. She dives into the fray, weaving under a cloak swipe that would have deleted her character file instantly. She saw the trajectory of the blade and ducked with zero margin for error. Even while fighting, she is lecturing him, calling Helheim a bunch of inhumane shadow rulers. The fake Lucas just smirks, promising to teach her true terror, but the hype train crashes instantly. Shio, watching from the sidelines like a bored critic, simply states that there is no such person. The imposter pauses, letting out a confused huh. Shio sighs, completely bored of the performance. He tells them straight up, I said there is no guy like that in Helheim. Snap. In a microsecond, Shio bursts his restraints into confetti. He does not just run, he teleports into the hostage taker's personal space before the guy's neurons can even fire. The goons lose their minds, realizing the victim is actually the boss battle. Instead of finishing the fight, Shio literally pauses the battle to give a seminar on branding. He is looking at these guys like they are amateurs. He yells at them, real secret societies do not advertise in broad daylight. You do not put up a billboard when you are trying to be mysterious. He tells the incoming robed squad to get better at lurking. Ashla is standing there, totally baffled. She cannot believe he is critiquing the villain's presentation skills while they are surrounded. She is thinking, are we about to get sent to the lobby, or is this a lecture? He waves off the threat entirely. Honestly, he is relieved these guys are frauds. It saves him the trouble of dealing with actual pros. Just a waste of bandwidth. He drops the lore. High-ranking Helheim members are ghosts. They never give out their names. Since these guys introduce themselves, they are just basic NPCs, total fodder. He turns to the melting abomination twitching on the ground. He runs the calculations in his head. This thing is innocent of the forest destruction. It is just a victim of bad coding or worse magic. Then he drops a casual bombshell. He has personally deleted 1,458 players in a single month. That is a KD ratio you do not mess with. Lucas nearly chokes on the air. Shio looks at the faker with dead eyes. You do not get to claim the title if you do not know the game. He barely flicks his wrist, sending the signal. Time to get deleted. The ground shatters as he flexes his aura. The pressure is immense, cracking the pavement like cheap glass. He warns them, keep my organization's name out of your mouths. But right as he is about to wipe the map, he freezes. His gamer instincts are tingling. Something does not add up here. It is too easy. The cringe hits him like a truck. He checks his old notebook and realizes the terrifying Helheim organization isn't real history. It is his own delusional fan fiction from middle school. He thinks, I wrote this garbage during my edgy phase and now these guys are treating it like scripture? The secondhand embarrassment is lethal. Before the shame deletes him, a wild waifu appears. Ashla pulls up with the steel, accusing him of turning the forest into a deep freezer. Shio looks at the wall, which is currently dripping with ketchup, and realizes he might have gone a little too hard on the paint job. He thinks, oops, maybe that was overkill. He drops a casual, my bad, but Ashla isn't buying it. She demands his objective. Shio thinks, better play it cool. He just shrugs, scratching his neck like he didn't just send a whole squad to the lobby. He hits her with the I'm just here to delete demons excuse. He explains the meta. The boss might be deleted, but the mobs are still spawning. He needs her to understand that the grind never stops. He tells her to chill, dropping his name with zero flex. I'm Shio, just a normal human. But that name hits her like a flashbang. You can see the gears turning in her head. She knows exactly who this monster is. But Shio doesn't stick around for the autograph session. He decides it is time to ghost. He waves goodbye, promising to return the favor, but adds a savage condition. If I remember. Bro is literally pre-announcing he is going to forget her. He walks into the snow, leaving her emotional damage critical. The gears in her head finally turn, and the name drops like a ton of bricks. The Corpse King, the ancient nemesis of the first hero, the literal legend who built her family's royal legacy. He isn't just a villain, he is a walking graveyard. He deleted 32 of the hero's elite companions without blinking. That is absolute menace energy. Ashla clenches her gloved hand until the leather screams in protest. She runs the numbers in her head and realizes the hard truth. She is currently trash tier compared to him. But if that walking calamity really is the Corpse King, she doesn't fold though. She locks in, swearing on the royal griffle crest that she will hunt him down and finish the job. The board is set back at the royal capital. The palace officials are absolutely losing their minds. The sea of trees just turned into a giant popsicle instantly, and since that defies the laws of physics, they are convinced a demon king is back in town. But the head honcho slams the brakes on the panic train. He tells everyone to chill out and stall the emperor until they have receipts. You do not start a war just because the weather got weird. While the corporate suits are busy losing their minds, the real players are just watching the clock tick down. They aren't scared because they know exactly who is crashing this party. And naturally, he doesn't use the door. Hell smashes right through the reinforced glass, sending shards flying like confetti. He touches down in a chaotic swirl of smoke and debris, looking like he owns the place. Talk about making an entrance. Nidhogg immediately launches herself at him like a heat-seeking missile. She has her claws out and she is screaming his name at the top of her lungs. She is coming in hot, looking to send him straight to the lobby. But look at this guy. Hell doesn't even flinch. He watches the attack coming in slow motion, staring down a speeding demon with the casual energy of a guy deciding what to order for lunch. That is absolute menace behavior. He checks his stats and, look at that. The blessing of death is still active. It hasn't rusted one bit. He visualizes the path to power. 100 souls, 1,000, 2,000. He is building a skyscraper out of deleted enemies just to make the violence feel natural. But the corruption starts leaking in. His internal monologue turns into a broken record, screaming at him to game end everything in sight. Hell violently shakes his head, yelling at the voices to zip it. He refuses to go down that rabbit hole again. He forces a hard reset, shoving the trauma back into the vault. Anyway, moving on. Hel yells at the trees but gets zero response. Just wind and awkward silence. He realizes he has to use the secret code to get them out. He mentally prepares himself for the absolute cringe he is about to unleash. He swallows his pride, takes a deep breath, and commits to the bit. He screams the theatrical command with his chest. It works instantly. Garm and Nilf pop out like loyal NPCs reciting their scripted passwords. Hel immediately drops the act, wiping the sweat from his brow, just relieved the roleplay session is finally over. Nilf hits him with the big question. Is he the Corpse King? Hel confirms it, but he physically winces at the title. Hearing it out loud is painful. It is like having your old edgy gamertag read out loud in a crowded room. He looks at them and sees how long they have been waiting. He knows he has to lock in and be the leader they need right now. He straightens his back and apologizes for the delay. Then he flips the switch. He strikes the signature pose and drops the line. The king has returned. Nilf looks at him like he just saw a ghost, absolutely shook. That breaks the tension. Garm tackles him with a tearful hug, nearly knocking the wind out of him. Nilf tries to keep it professional, but you can tell he is relieved. The squad is finally back together. Gear upgrade time. They hand him the cloak of Helheim. Hel starts sweating bullets. He remembers he just attacked a bedsheet with scissors to make the original design. They think it is legendary armor, but he knows it is literally an arts and crafts project. He hesitates for a second, then throws it on. The swirl, the drama. Okay, he admits it. The drip is severe. Nilf gives the signal to roll out. Hel turns the hype into a weapon. Someone out there is stealing their brand, and that is a copyright strike punishable by deletion. He rallies the troops. It is officially hunting season. But the second that speech ends, the post-cringe clarity hits like a semi-truck. Hel collapses face first into the snow, totally crushed by the weight of his own edginess. Nilf starts panicking, thinking he's actually injured. He wheezes out that his HP is full, but his soul just got sent straight to the lobby. He curses his past self for writing lines that actually hurt to say out loud. Nilf tries to be supportive, but the secondhand embarrassment is lethal. He shakes off the cringe and spots the cat girl and her buddy trying not to bawl their eyes out. For just a second, he drops the whole mysterious edgelord act. He actually admits he is glad he came back. It is a rare moment of vulnerability, folks. But of course, the universe has a strict no happiness policy. Dark steam starts hissing like a pressure cooker ready to blow. A massive armored plate slams shut with a nasty crunch. Break time is officially over.